welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, joined today by Paul McAllister and Owen Parks, previewing our match on Sunday against Fulham. It's been what it seems like a long international break. Everyone's coming back with about 5 injuries, 7 suspensions. Seamus Coleman's lost a leg on international duty.
And
we
that's
don't
just
really
the
know what's
Republic of
going
Ireland.
on. Exactly. I'm not going to start Owen off on his Republic of Ireland theories, but I do completely believe in that no one ever comes back fit from playing for them. But we're here to preview Fulham, a team that have obviously just been promoted to the Premier League. So far, 8 games played, I believe it is. 6 losses, 1 win, 1 draw. Not the best season so far. Definitely a game we should be looking to win, especially coming off the run of some poor form. I'll start with Owen. Owen, what are your thoughts on Fulham in general? What are your thoughts on Scott Parker as a manager and the team they've got there?
You're setting me up here, aren't you? It's difficult. I think when he first came up a couple of years ago, they had Slavisa Jokanovic. He has a really good championship record of getting teams out of that division. They presumed, give him loads of money, he would finish mid-table. It didn't work out. He conceded loads of goals. Brought Claudio Ranieri in to be more defensive. Didn't suit the players he had. And then Scott Parker just came in towards the end and just put an arm around the players, and he got some decent results, enough for him to get the job. And then last season, I think they had probably one of the best teams in the league. They came up ultimately, but they made hard work of it. I think if you looked at the teams they were in the playoffs with, they're by far the best squad, I think, within that bunch anyway. And they came up, and then so far it's been difficult, but it was always going to be difficult. Scott Parker's a very inexperienced coach, obviously. Only really been coaching since he was given the interim spell there, so he's done well. His teams are very, very open at the back. I mean, they like to play open, expansive football, which, I mean, it can work for them at times. They do carve teams open. He played well against West Brom. I don't know the game before that. No, the last game was when Adam Lookman made an absolute tit of himself. But the big one before that, they played West Brom, and they played pretty well. But it's difficult, and so I would expect Everton to have way too much of Fulham, but it's Fulham away for some reason. That isn't the best place for us to play. But if you stripped everything back, Everton, I should have far too much of Fulham.
Yeah, Paul, do you agree with that? How would you assess Fulham's squad?
Their squad's weird. There's a couple of players who've been there for a while who've kind of were with them the last time they were in the Premier League, like Mitrovic and Tim Ream, the centre half, the American. And there's a couple of others who've just kind of come in on loan or in the past year who've come from bigger clubs but took a step down, like the likes of Loftus-Cheek is there on loan, isn't he? Lookman, the aforementioned Ademola Lookman's rocked up there. They've got that goalkeeper, Areola, who used to play for PSG, was the number one there for a few years. And of course, they've got Anthony Robertson, who was once at Everton as well, and then went to Wigan and proved himself. So on paper, when you look at their squad, it should look good enough to stay up, but it just seems like Parker, and I don't necessarily blame him. He's a young manager. He's learning. He probably hasn't fully carved out his identity yet as a coach. It just doesn't seem like they have any specific way that they stick to, and you can tell because they just look very, very disjointed. They don't just oof the ball up to Mitrovic like a lot of teams down the bottom do. They don't just pass it for passing its sake like Bournemouth used to do. They don't look to sit back and just defend and nick one on the counter. It's just it's weird trying to work out what type of team they are. But Scott Parker, I like him. I liked him as a player. I like him as a person as well. I think he comes across very well and he speaks a lot of sense. And he doesn't talk like the likes of certain managers where he'd rather just have a set amount of passes than he would score. He seems like he's a manager who knows exactly what his team are capable of and what they should be achieving. And that's what he's focused on rather than just impressing neutrals with passing. So we should have too much for them. I don't think they're going to stay up based on what I've seen so far. They've only won 1 game. Bit unlucky in others, but unless something dramatic happens, like a team that are above them just fall off the edge of the cliff, I think Fulham are going to find it hard to stay up. And there's absolutely no excuse to not be beating teams who you'd say are going to go down, home or away.
Yeah, and then as you mentioned there, I think they did some decent transfer business. To be fair, Areola was a player who looked decent for PSG at times. Obviously, his career kind of dropped off after that. He's ended up at Fulham. I thought that was a good deal. We all know about Ademola Lookman. It's just written in the stars that he's going to score against us. No matter how poorly he's done at Leipzig or anywhere else, that's a player that I'm very nervous about. We got to see Robinson. I haven't really kept track to see whether he's playing Fulham or not. Obviously, they had Joe Bryan when they came up, so I think they did make some good transfer business. Scott Parker, as Owen mentioned, he's an inexperienced manager, but he did bring them up at the end of the day. It's no easy feat, I don't think, in the Championship. So inexperienced, but he's clearly proven himself so far. That's why they've stuck with him. They've only been relegated like 2 years. Obviously, he was the interim manager just before they got relegated, and then we turned up to Craven Cottage and got bullied by Mitrovic for a day, which definitely haunted me for quite a while. It was the most ridiculous result. I think we'd come off the back of 3 or 4 wins, turn up away at Fulham. They were already relegated.
That was the day I found a footballer who'd move slower than me, Phil Jagielka.
Yeah, that was, to be honest, that was the day Jagielka's career ended, essentially. He never played for Everton again. I don't think he's hardly played at all down at Sheffield, has he?
I don't even know if he's still there, to be honest.
No, I don't. And that's harsh, because I do like Jagielka and he was good for Everton, but his career just ended that day, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
but as I mentioned, we are coming in off the back of an international break. Some people saw it as maybe a slight positive because we get a break from that poor form we were on. I don't have an exact list of who's playing and who's not because we're recording this ahead of Ancelotti's press conference. I think we know Coleman was out with an injury. Yerry Mina might have been out with an injury. I think Allen might have been. Richarlison might have even been at some point, but I'm not sure about that one. Are there any other players that you two can think of that have come out with an injury?
There's always a surprise one, and there's always a couple who are surprised who were fit. So I have to wait for Carlo for that.
Yeah, so those that were hopeful of coming off the international break with a full string squad,
whoever went to Ireland, just write them off.
Yeah, basically. So, Paul, how do you think we're lined up then? Because obviously we've been without the majority of the squad the key players in the squad for a while between Dean and Richarlison suspensions. Hammers his fitness has been on and off, but he did captain Colombia in that historic 6-1 loss to Ecuador. That one's going to go down the history books for Hammers there. How do you think we're going to be lined up against Fulham then, Paul?
I wouldn't be shocked if we see a much change lineup, even if players not injured, because a lot of them have been travelling quite far and will probably be tired because it's an early kickoff. And as you said, James played for Colombia against Ecuador, and that's thousands of miles away. So that's a long arse flight for him and Yerry Mina. Iwobi was playing in Nigeria for Sierra Leone. Yeah, so that's that memorable 4-4. He's had a lot of travelling.
You're naming all these results, and I don't know one of them.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, all our international players, they haven't all just been playing the home nations or playing countries in and around Europe. Most of them have been going to South America and Africa and just Central America, thousands of miles away. So it's long flights they're going to be on. So I wouldn't be shocked if Ancelotti just looks at them and thinks, right, it's Fulham. We can probably get away with playing the likes of Bernard in this game, or maybe if he's fit, a John Joe Kenny or someone like that. Or I wouldn't even be shocked if we see Richarlison not make the squad, because I know apparently he's okay. I know he took a heavy one off Cavani, but players like that and Alan and Yerry Mina, even though they've not played for their international teams, I wouldn't be surprised if we just see them dropped. And the likes of Godfrey come in again and plays in centre half, and we just decide to change it up and give players another chance. Anthony Gordon was the one I was thinking of. I wouldn't be shocked if Anthony Gordon comes into the team to give him a chance, because this is the perfect type of game you'd think. He's playing against a team that's low on confidence, not spectacular footballers, and it's a chance to make a mark for himself. And he's fresh; he's not played for 2 weeks, so I'm hopeful that we don't have injuries. But even if we don't have injuries, I'm not expecting to see a 100% fit Everton side. I think Ancelotti's going to shuffle the deck here, to be honest. Yeah,
and then on the other side of the coin, Owen, because I know you mentioned you don't like international football, you haven't been keeping track of the results. If you look at Fulham's side, obviously we mentioned a couple of players so far. Mitrovic, we always seem to hate playing against a big striker for no apparent reason. Lookman, we know, is bound to haunt us. Are they two of the players you kind of worried about? Is there anyone else you're worried about looking at Fulham's squad?
Mitrovic would be the one, but every time, Mitrovic plays for Fulham, but every time we switch Fulham on, he's not playing, so I don't know if he's actually playing for them. But
just comes out once a year against us whenever they're in the Prem. To be fair,
I like him. He's a good striker. He'd be someone, if I was Scott Parker, I would get the ball up too quickly. He won't, but I would get the ball up to Mitrovic quickly. I think Tom Kearney's okay. I think he's been used a bit more under Parker than he was Jokanovic in the Premier League. Apart from that, I'm not big on Lookman, as people know. But I mean, if I don't like him, he's probably going to play well against us. I did nothing but bemoan Bournemouth for about 4 years, but they beat us every year. So I mean, it means absolutely nothing if I don't like him. So yeah, he would be one I'd look at because he's good in the final third. Obviously, if he gets a run on a defender. Apart from that, they're just the Championship players mostly. I think Loftus-Cheek, I don't mind him. I think he's decent.
Hasn't done anything in his career. He's on 100 grand a week, and I can't think of a player who's
no. But
has he even got 100 senior appearances?
To be honest, any kind of positivity I judge on Loftus-Cheek would be his last sort of 4 months at Palace when he was on there alone, and he was really good there. I think apart from that, he's done nothing. But I think if he can get to that level, he is a decent player. But he's never reached it apart from 4 months at Palace, so it depends. I think they've got some all right players, Fulham, but there's no one who really stands out for me in that team. I think even defensively, Tim Ream, he was there when Bolton was shy, weren't he? So I mean, yeah, we'll see.
Lamina, that centre midfielder they've got, he's been around for about a while, hasn't he? Didn't he used to play for Juventus and then he ended up at Southampton and now he's at Fulham?
To be honest, I completely forgot he went there.
Yeah, he's there. He's a solid player. He was at Juventus for a little while. Wasn't a star at Juventus by any stretch. He was just a sub player, a squad option. But he was okay at Southampton. I'm surprised that Fulham got him out of Southampton, to be honest. I don't know what happened there, whether they've sold him and Højbjerg. I'm surprised by that, to be honest.
I don't think Lamina wanted, so I don't think he works hard and to play for Ralph. I think you've got to work hard, so maybe there's something in that. He's gone to Fulham and Parker might think he can get a tune out of him. He's definitely a good footballer because every time I've seen him play, he's looked good on the ball, and it's just whether you can get a tune out of him or not. I think that they're obviously a decent team for them because they've come up from the Championship twice, and to do that, you've got to have something about you in terms of character, especially for the ones who've been there a while. It's just they've struggled so far this season, but we'll see.
They've got a lot of grit, I think. As you said, you can't come up from the Championship without it, but they just lack the quality. And it's not because they haven't got players in their squads who haven't got any quality about them. It's just they can't seem to be put together and sort of mesh and find a way of playing that suits all of them. And some of that...
Yeah, go on.
So I was just going to say, you can blame the manager for that, but maybe that's not fair because, as we've said, he's so inexperienced and he's learning.
Yeah, I don't think they're great defensively at all. I've watched them a bit in the Championship and I've seen them so far this season. They seem a team that can be passed through quite easy, and maybe because that they were without a few key players, but I just don't think Scott Parker's a coach who defensively got it right so far there. I think in the Championship, when you've got Mitrovic and McKennie and all that who've been around that division and a bit too good for that division at times, you can get away with it. But when you come to the Premier League and teams just counter-attack one goal. I watched Fulham, funnily enough, against Crystal Palace the other week. Fulham, for the first 10 minutes, that's like 90% possession. Palace, one counter-attack, it was 1-0. So they need to become a bit more streetwise, I think, in the Premier League.
Yeah, for me, they're a less organised Brighton. There's nothing particularly good about them at all, but if they can just organise themselves and find a way that suits a style of play that suits their best players, they'll probably pick up a lot of points, whether they deserve them or not. They're just too easy to play against, and they've got too many individuals.
I think Fulham and Brighton are in a similar boat in terms of every time you watch them play, they look like they're in control of a game, but they never get any points from the games because lapses of concentration mostly and just cheap goals, and then in the final third they don't seem to take the chances either. I think it's a bit muddled thinking there going on a Fulham. They'll have to sort it out if they want to stay up at some point, but at the moment it looks like confidence pretty low there. I think confidence is low when in the last minute of the last game Lookman stepped up and Panenka's a penalty in the last minute.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked he even took that. To be honest, I know he's one of these characters where he likes for it to be all about him, type thing. But I'm surprised that one of the senior players didn't grab the ball off him and say, "No, get lost, you've been here 2 minutes. You're not taking the responsibility. Give it to the captain or give it to one of the players who's been around a long while. I'll smash it in."
I don't know if Mitrovic was on the pitch. If he was on the pitch, he asked to take it. I don't know if he's any good at penalties, but he's a striker. He's got a good record in front of goal.
Well, he's just missed a crucial penalty for his country, so they're not going the Euros now. It was him who missed the deciding penalty against Scotland, wasn't it?
Right, okay. Just put anyone but Lookman's Panenka's on it.
So now that Mitrovic has basically just cost his team a spot at the Euros next year, expect him to have the game of his life as well.
Yeah. So just to round off the video there, because if you want to go and see more detail about the Fulham squad, definitely check out our opposition view we did with Fulham Focus. He can tell you. He spoke to me. He told us all about how Fulham might line up, what he thinks his predictions are. But in terms of our predictions, I'll kick it off. 2-0 win. We need to get back to winning ways. Although it is on a Sunday on TV, which we never seem to do well. I don't think we've had a brilliant record on there for years. Owen, what are your predictions going into the game?
No, I have a horrible feeling, but I'll be positive and say 3-1 Everton.
3-1 Everton for Owen, then Paul.
I'll go for 3-0. It won't be an easy 3-0. There'll be a lot of the game where it will look even, but I just think the breaks will fall to us and our quality will see us through. So I'll go for 3-0. Maybe a scrappy first hour, but then we'll probably pull away from them in the final 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, this is a game we definitely should be winning, especially coming off the poor form before the international break.
These next 3 games, I think we need to be winning the 3 of them, or at least 7 points from them, because if we want to finish in the European places, that the 3 games we should be looking to get 3 points in.
Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Paul and Owen for joining. Hope you enjoyed our thoughts. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about the game going into Fulham. Do check out the link in the description as well. It is coming up to Christmas. I know some people don't like to start the festive season in November, but Everton have definitely started early, so check out the link in the description if you're going to buy anything from the Everton store. Definitely helps out the channel. We really would appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues. Real famous,